So we're still having some issues with server. This is a bit of a shame, really. We're now about 20 minutes past our predicted time. Sorry, so it's actually a client side as well. I'm being reminded. Client side issues there. So a couple of guys unable to join through their setups, and it's part of the I guess part of the event. Really, it's what happens when you're here, especially when you have so many different setups together, so many different PCs. Someone's bound to have an issue somewhere.
But the thing that's affecting everybody is they've all built up for the start time. They've had the brief, get back to the rig, shake themselves out. Final good luck from all the teams, and getting the seats ready to go. They've done the practice, ready to switch sessions. The nerves haven't gone. In fact, the nerves have probably built up a little bit more by having to sit there and wait this extra time.
This is race control. Everybody is now on the server. In 1 minute, we are going to the race station. There
you go. There you hear it from our boy Lasser in race control, saying that we are now approaching the start of the 24-hour race here. All the drivers on the server, all prepared. Yeah, but I think we have the team back in. I'll just check with our race control. Do we have the number 79 still in the race, or are they? We'll wait when we get confirmation of that, but will someone give us this?
30 seconds until race session. 30 seconds until race session.
We'll come back to you when we know what's going on there, but 30 seconds until race start. And now this is where the drivers will be breathing deep and just thinking of their strategies. Leading the grid will be the undercover sim racing team, the Treble 8 car from Satellite Racing, Endurance Racing, number 88, Satellite number 64, 4th, and Team RRC 5th, heading off your P1 field. And that's what we'll be focusing on at the start. Then in your P2 field, Hyder Esport will be leading you from Rare, from ProSim, from SimTech, last year's winner from IRDK. So there we go then. Drivers now are allowed to go to the grid. We'll try and find our pole sitter. There he is, or there he will be in a second, just sitting in the pit lane. And the teams now have 50 seconds to grid up and get ready. Nick, any final thoughts before we get going?
Go Satellite. Yeah, I've got. No, I just want a good, clean start. We don't want anything happening on the way down to Mulsanne, if we can help it. But yeah, let's get everybody settle down first, get the first 2-3 laps under the belt, and let the race develop. Obviously, for me, I'm looking forward to when the P1s and the P2s catch up to the GT field, because that's when the action can really start.
Indeed, and then we now have the cars on the grid. You can see the safety car was actually the pole sitter with a great lap there sitting on the right. Now that's our Corvette safety car. And that's actually driven by our by Lasser in race control. He's got his own little mini rig set up there down to the right. He'll drive the car around, peel into the pit lane at the end of the lap, and then that'll be race underway. And there goes our safety car. And then leading away our field is the undercover sim racing squad. We have, I've got Chris leaning over on my monitor. He said you've got a spreadsheet on his right, bless him, but 30, I think that is still 34 cars taken to the field. We still haven't had confirmation regarding the 79 or not.
Yeah, I was just trying to sort of count the field there as they go past, so I'll keep an eye on it for you.
Try and get a view back from our safety car, shall we? Here we are running through the camera angles. There is Lasser. They're very hairy hands, Lasser, according to this game. If we can get a view back. No, we can't. But there you go. There's our safety car coming round. Rumbling V8 Corvette. It's always been a Corvette around here. Apparently not too good in the rain. I actually tried driving this car last year around here for a laugh. It didn't go too well, unfortunately. I actually binned it before we started off. But we'll just run down our field. So there is Undercover Sim Racing, your pole sitter in LMP1. Behind them, Satellite Racing, number 11. Then the number 88 Endurance Racing car. In third, then in fourth is the Satellite Racing number 64. Then rounding out your LMP1 field is the Team RRC car. One of my old teammates, Joe Chiampa, driving that, so good luck to Joe. Then our P2 field is the Hyder Esport guys. I think Dennis Lind is actually in that car, if memory serves. If it doesn't, someone come give me a slap, but not on camera.
Or I'll do it for you, don't worry.
Thank you, Chris, appreciate that. Then we have Rare behind them, followed by ProSim. Then followed by SimTech Motorsport. SimTech were actually last year's winners here on that Nordic Sim Gear rig. Beautiful piece of machinery. I can't quite fit that in my backpack as much as I've tried to, but definitely try and get some camera on that later on. Then we have the I really don't know racing, guys. The IRDK Racing P2 just in the back of your picture there. Then behind them is the ID Simsport. We'll try and get a better camera on these guys because we're kind of a long shot down the Mulsanne. Then we come to the last of our P2 field, Lithium Motorsports last, but certainly not least. And then we get to the boats, the field of Bentley M8, BMW M8 coming down now. I said boat and I thought Bentley, which is good. Just absolute ton of these guys, 15 GTE cars lining up on the field, a couple of Porsches mixed in there as well. And then right to the back of the picture, we have the McLaren. So, just warming up now. This is where you try and make sure all your tire temps and brake temps are where they should be. Big drag of the brake round here. You didn't really do many formations, Sarge. You have a parade lap, don't you, in karting, Chris? Or?
Yeah, we do actually. I was going to see if we could find the team we were missing. If we go back through the teams, that'll be our best way, I guess, to find out. No.
So unfortunately, Team RRC 79 is still confirmed as a DNF for now. So commiserations to those guys. It must be horrible to come all this way and retire just like that. But just like real life racing, it can happen.
It can happen. Yeah, but no. Going back to what you were saying, yeah, we plenty of experience doing rolling starts. Really do love them, and I think it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens going down through that first corner. As I said pre-race, let's just hope we get a tidy start. There we can see our pole sitters just leading the way behind the safety car there. We will, of course, get bunched up the further we get round the lap. When we do get the green lights, we are racing. Overtaking can be done straight away. So that's going to be something to look out for. Even before we get to the line, perhaps we could start seeing a little bit of overtaking.
We could well do at this point. Of course, right now it's just a matter of getting around without running into the back of the safety car, which I can say I've done once upon a time. It's not the best strategy. So undercover car in undercover, just following the Corvette round. Unfortunately, we don't have which driver is in the car at which time. We would love to have this information, but unfortunately we don't have it right now. So we do misname anyone in a car, then please forgive us. Coming round just the Mulsanne corner now up towards Indianapolis. Now in the P1 cars, they'll be doing about 350 Ks before braking to Indy. Right now on the pace lap, a quite marginally slower 130 Ks. But not too long until we get kicked off. Now, I've been told the stint in the P1 car is about 10 laps or so, Nick?
10, 11 laps, yeah. So it's not long. So we've got to, I think 3:12, 3:13 probably for a lap. So it'll not be long. It'll be about half an hour, 30 minutes in. We'll get the first pit stops from the P1s, and I would imagine the P2s will follow shortly on. GTE, I would imagine 40-45 minutes before we'll start seeing them come in, depending on mix, and then we'll understand where we are within the pit stop windows in each class from there.
Of course, the car's now heavy with fuel. There'll be a completely different beast to that in qualifying, which is why our guys get a little bit of a practice session in between qualifying and the race. Of course, qualifying setups tend to be very aggressive and well, very quick, but not very stable or safe. Race setup a little bit different. We'll keep our camera with the undercover sim racing car for now, because they'll be the guys leading us off. Coming up to the Porsche curves now. Blink and you'll miss it in race conditions, especially in the higher classes, the P1s and the P2s. And we're gonna have Nick, I think, focusing on our GT guys, and we'll try and focus on the prototype guys. So that's it. Remind that to Nick, and he gives me a. Oops,
I've seen tactics already being put to play here.
Some tactics going in. We'll come to that in a second, though. We'll focus on the start of the race for now. Coming through the Porsche curves. Nice and easy. Of course, we have pit crews as well, sitting in the tents behind, all ready and waiting to bark orders at the drivers in cars. When you're not in the car, you are on the pit wall helping the driver sort out their strategy and giving them info on the race ahead. Now, coming round the Corvette curves, and only a couple more corners now until we go green here at Le Mans. All the way from Middelfart in Denmark, the GTR 24, 11th running. 33 teams will be taking the grid today, not the 34 that were advertised. Unfortunately, a pre-race DNF from Team RRC. Now watch I've seen the GT cars have backed way off the back of the prototypes to give himself a little bit of room. So coming out now through the last 2 chicanes, and we'll be green. Watch for that safety car. He will peel off to the left-hand side of the circuit, and Undercover Sim Racing will lead us around.
Green flag, green flag, green
And
flag,
green flag here
green
in the
flag.
GTR 24, and it's already a great start there from Undercover Sim Racing, and behind Endurance Racing 88 tries to move on Satellite almost instantly, but Satellite covers it off, coming down to T1. A nice start from Undercover, a bit further down the field. We have the P2 starting as well. Hyder Esport getting away very nice and cleanly from the Rare Endurance guys. Behind them, we have the Pro Sim in third position, looking feisty, and Simtech already looking at the back of the car very fast through the first couple of chicanes, and now we come downhill through the S's for our P1 drivers. Here is Undercover, already a bit of a gap between him
We
and
have
Satellite.
an incident with the GT3s at the back of the field, yeah.
So we can get that on Nick. Nick, what's going on?
Yeah, we had a couple of cars coming together, but they've been able to carry on. We'll see at the end of this lap if they've had to come in for some damage repair, but there was a little incident in the back of the field with a couple of GT3s.
Oh, Nick, sorry to cut over you. We have the 88 Endurance LMP1 going past the Satellite number 11, coming down to the first chicane, losing the slipstream side by side into the first chicane. Satellite car yield, think better of it, and past they go up into P2. I say one person clapping in the crowd. We'll give them that for now. You see a great shot here down the Mulsanne straight. All the cars coming into view right now. Nick will let us know if there's anything going on in the GT class for now, but otherwise, Chris, a nice clean start for our guys.
Yep, as expected, fairly clean at the start. Good past 4 second there. It's looking very close to fourth. Let's try and get a view of our team in 5th place, shall we? Because I could see fourth under a lot of pressure there as we come out the chicane. Here we go. So it's one of the Satellite cars that are under pressure. Let's pick up the team in 5th place, shall we, as we head down towards where are we going to next chicane. Is it Team RRC on board? So Mulsanne corner it is. Here we go, and there we go, reach the first bit of the corner there, and through the right hand, no way to get past, so Team RRC having to tuck in for now. And all 5 teams fairly close together. Leaders breaking away, but battle for second still fairly close. And I could just see the P2s in the background as well there. But this is our battle for 4th place then. And Satellite Racing under a lot of pressure.
A lot of GTs going side by side in the background. I just saw that on our big screen before coming back down. We'll see if we can get a camera on that. We've got the real esports guys in first and second, pulling away from the rest of the pack. Meanwhile, Team Bernie followed by Burst Esports for third and fourth in your GTE class. A great line of GTE cars there coming into picture. 15 of these guys taking to the grid today. Great to have such a large GTE field. Usually in real life racing, Nick, the GT cars tend to give the best fighting. Saying that, sorry, in the background, we have Undercover Sim Racing defending from that pink and white BMW M8, which goes to the outside. That is the Gap SRT team. Looks to the outside of the first part of Indianapolis. I wouldn't try and move there. He goes right away on the outside. Wow. Will he get on the brakes here? Yes, he will. Wow, what a move there by the 6.
Yeah, good pass that as we just picked that up just in time as expected. Lots of battling going on in the GT classes there. So there we can see Gap SRT now heading just in tow there. This, of course, still the first lap of the race. Plenty of time to go. So when getting past, say at this stage, no need to fight too hard. Just think about the strategy. I think that's what's going to be going through the minds of the drivers in the rigs at the moment.
I really didn't expect this much action on the very first lap. I saw a couple of overtakes. That Burst Esport was an actual a loss of position because it had made up into third on the run down to the second chicane, and obviously a position was retaken.
We've got a bad run there by the Gap car in front. Here comes the Undercover Sim Racing 777 car. Looks to the inside for the first chicane. Not really a move I would try at this point in the race. And it looks like the 777 driver thinks better of it, as he probably should have done, and then resigns to stay behind the rather pink-looking BMW M8 in front. So that's 1 lap down. Many to go. We'd love to hear your lap predictions in the chat in Twitch or here at the venue. Let us know how many laps you think we're going to see today over the course of the 24-hour event. But mostly glad to get through in one piece. We still have all 33 cars at the start of this race going around right now. Unfortunately, 1 car didn't make the start, the Team RRC car, but otherwise everything looking good right now.
Yes, all looking good. Shall we stay with our GT classes for the time being, I guess? Or are we going to switch back? Let's move back up the order, shall we? And go back up to the P2 class. Here we go. So this is the I Really Don't Know endurance team as we head down to the first chicane. And down the long straight it is, and going to look to the outside, are we, as IRDK just going down the outside. Will they get there for the braking zone? Let's see. Hard on the brakes. Are they brave enough to do it? Yes, that's move complete, and up to 8th place there for the number 55. Now that's bringing 10th place into play. Oh, well, we're going to be 3 across, are we, as we now head down the straight. So coming into play there is the team in 10th place, and down towards the second chicane we go. Who's going to come out of ahead in all this? Here we go. 3 across then, and it looks as if 10th to 8th place. Is it round the outside, and is that move complete? They're still side by side. IRDK back into 9th place, I think. ProSim, the big losers in all of that, they've now dropped to 10th place.
10th overall, Chris. 10th overall. So these guys are 5th in class right now. And they're still fighting in front, aren't they, Chris? Simtech and IRDK going toe-to-toe. It's only the second lap, boys.
Yes, they are indeed, but Simtech, as you said, to the right of your picture, and to the left is IRDK, and into Indianapolis. It looks as if IRDK are going to try and complete this move. Good to see that they're giving each other some racing room. Into Arnage we go. IRDK stuck on the outside. As you said, this is the P2 class we are watching, so although it says that they're 9th overall in class, they're a lot higher up the order than that. And we can see that it's the battle for 3rd place, I think it is, going on. So this the last place on the podium. Now, who is that in the background that is approaching this battle? It's a 3-way battle at the moment, but soon to become a 4-way battle. Let's go on board, shall we, with IRDK through the Porsche curves. It's my favourite part of the circuit, as I'm sure it is with most people, particularly in these cars. As we head now down to the 4th chicane, the last corner on the track, of course. It's going to settle down for the time being, Jimmy, but I think by the time we hit the long straights, that it's all going to kick off once again. But I think at this point, very soon, we're going to have to go to a commercial break soon. But I'll hand it back over to you, Jimmy. In fact, just getting confirmation that unfortunately at this time we are going to have to go to a quick commercial break. But as you can see, racing's been very entertaining already, so don't go anywhere.
So next level meal is a meal replacement. So if you've ever heard of Soylent or one of those other products, the idea is that instead of eating meal, you drink it or you eat a bar. That's what next level meal is. The difference being that it actually tastes good. For me, I use next level meal when I'm traveling or when I want to replace the worst meal that I'm going to eat in a given day. And the reason that I'm excited about this particular food is because its basis is real food.
With so much of my life stored on my PC, I can't afford to take any chances. That's why I choose Kaspersky Antivirus to help keep me safe. It protects me from viruses and spyware without slowing me down. My PC keeps performing as it was designed to, and nothing gets in my way. Get award-winning protection for your PC. Kaspersky Antivirus.
Connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
We live in a world where we often forget the consequences of our overconsumption. At Refurb, we want to change that particular habit, which is why we purchase large amounts of used, quality computers from companies and subsequently restore and reuse them. When we receive the computers, we perform data deletion, renovate, and test them to make sure they are once again like new. Many have already realized that you can save a lot of money without compromising, simply by reusing. Get more for less and be the positive change by reusing.
How do you feel when someone is looking over your shoulder? Not all snoopers can be seen. Cyber criminals can steal your sensitive information. Hackers can intercept your data on public Wi-Fi. But not with the NordVPN app. It helps protect your privacy by encrypting your online data, and it's so easy to use. NordVPN, your shield from online snoopers. Download and enjoy trusted internet security and privacy.
quickly. We have in the number 919 car currently driving is none other than David Greco, so a very well-renowned driver. I actually overtook him once. I'm not sure if anyone ever heard about that, but that's my claim to fame. And then in the 911 car is Yuri Kastorp, another very fast guy, especially known from
behind them. They know the long game, and they're not going to cause each other any problem.
So Chris is just gesticulating towards his live timing. Chris, what have you spotted, mate?
Well, the gap between the leader, Hyder Esport, in the P2 class and IRDK has come down by 8 seconds on this lap. It was 19 seconds. It's now just 11. So they must have had some pretty big issues with traffic on this lap. There we can see them now, just about to go under the Dunlop Bridge. So it's now 12.7 seconds. Not sure if this is actually an issue with the timing screen. So yes, their last time was a 3:35 and IRDK did a 3:30. So yeah, around 5 seconds the gap has come down by, but in a lap and a half it's come down by around 7 seconds. So that's certainly going to be just a little bit of a worry for Hyder Esport, although they still have a gap in hand.
It could just be a couple of bad laps of traffic. Traffic does ebb and flow in these events. You find yourself one lap having a great unavoidable lap, I should say. Sorry, you have no DTs in front of you. You can just get round in one piece. And the next lap, you have every car in the world and every fast chicane. And you end up getting very frustrated. But Hyder losing a little bit of time. But as you said, Chris, has still got a little bit of a gap behind. IRDK actually right now under pressure. Wow, in the background there, one of the P2 cars just about getting past the GTE's cars that were going too wide down the straight. Not much time round there, it seems. And here is our battle for third, fourth, and fifth in the P2 class. You see Shane Burke there in the Simtech car getting a little bit of a draft from the amply sized BMW M8 down the straight. And here you are, third, fourth, and fifth in your P2 class, all within camera. So we have our first pit stop as well. It's undercover sim racing in the LMP1 class, followed in by the endurance racing 88. We'll stay in this battle for now, but all our P1s coming in, and that is on lap 10. Lap 10. Oh, this chair, my chair even went over there. These chairs have a life of their own up here on stage, I'll tell you that right now. But Rare still harrying the IRDK car. Simtech not quite in the same battle right now. Rare looks to the outside at Mulsanne and slots back in. Not quite close enough to make a move there. But look how much better Shane Burke is on the brakes there than the Rare driver. Than Richard in front, right on the back.
Yeah, yes, he is indeed. So this is then the Rare Endurance team we are looking at the moment. 8th overall, 3rd in class. And this very close battle, isn't it, going on here between IRDK, Rare Endurance, and Simtech as well. Less than a second between all of them. Now, with the pit stops being made, we've got the two satellite teams have come in. Endurance Racing has come in as well, as has Undercover Sim Racing. Team RRC have decided to stay out. So there they are coming down the Mulsanne straight and into the first chicane, and there we can see Team RRC now leading the way. Now I wonder if we're just going to see one more lap being done and then them coming in to the pits, or if they're going to try and stay up for just a little bit longer. Could this be down to the fact that they thought they might have seen a fairly clear track ahead, or would this have been a strategy from the very start of the race, do you think?
Well, I'm looking down right now to our audience area, and I see Joe Chiampa, one of the Team RRC drivers down there, giving me a bit of a wave right now. He's giving, yes, P1 we're in at the moment. This part of the plan, Joe? Yeah, he says, yeah, this is a strategy. We're going one lap longer at the moment. I doubt you can do 2 laps longer around here. But maybe running a slightly bit different. They haven't quite got the pace to be at the top of the field in an out-and-out fight, so maybe they're trying something a bit different. That's what's great about endurance racing. You never really know what's going on until you get to the end of the race. But they are currently in the lead, so it's Undercover come out in second, as we expect. Satellite third, Endurance Racing 88 in fourth, and Satellite in fifth position. Meanwhile, we have IRDK into the pits. Here they are, coming down pit road at the moment. One of the first, or a few actually, of our P2 tyres coming in, but Dennis Lynn staying out in the lead.
Yeah, I was just about that. Rick point that out. Dennis has stayed out where the rest of the P2 field has come in. So they're running maybe a lower mix.
I think what might have happened there is that Chris spotted it. They started slowing up quite a bit before coming into their pit stops. Maybe some big lifting and coasting going on there. We'll have to wait and see. Lifting and coasting is when you come up to the corner in front of you. You lift off the throttle just before you hit your brake marker, and that saves a little bit of fuel. Do that multiple times per lap over the course of a stint, and you might just save a lap on your entire stint. So they're going 1 lap longer and staying out. And now I think we're being left now by Jesper. Jesper, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to have you here. And that now frees up our guest seat for anyone else coming in.
Well, thank you for having me here, Jimmy. It was nice meeting all of you guys, and hopefully you will have a nice race for the remaining hours. But yeah, of course, come up, join the guest seat. It's nice to be up here, and the seat is warm now that I've left it.
That's very kind of Jess. Thank you very much, mate. And there he goes now, off down past there. I've just noticed that Simtech in the stops moved up to third position in the P2 class. They've done a bit of a cheeky one. They're a bit of a slower stop, and they've gone up into third. They were down in fifth.
Yep. So Simtech there, as you just pointed out, up some positions. ProSim, we just had a brief look at there, and now heading. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy here. Lots of
trying to get Joe Jumper up here in the guest
right. Okay. I hope no one else falls off their chair today. We've got we had Nick,
uneven stage.
We had Nick fully go off his chair in the ad break, and then Jimmy a very close call. Yeah, enjoy your trip. We're going to get our first guest. It looks like Joe Champ is about to come and join us on the stage. Here we can see IRDK in 9th place at the moment, 4th in class, but as Joe takes the seat, I'll probably hand over to Nick to have a few words with our guest, Joe Champa.
Oh, welcome, Joe. How's it? How do you feel at the minute, and how do you think the race is going? Is it going to plan?
Yes. Anything else?
Yeah. Done that.
Yeah. A man, a few words.
Yeah, it's obviously it's very early days yet. Nice to have led it, which is good so far. Had a lap on lead, but we're we know we're not the quickest here, but we're going to use an old tactic I've employed in previous races and see how we get on. So far, the plan.
Hyder's in.
Oh, so we have Hyder in, our P2 leader. Sorry about that, Joe. Sorry to cut you off temporarily. Joe, the pit strategy you seem to have employed has put you up into 4th position. You were 5th and now up into 4th, so cleared the satellite guys. You were kind of just exchanging draft down the straight there. So the plan for you guys is to just try and run a lap longer where you can, try and save a bit of fuel, or that kind of gig.
I can tell you my tactics, Jimmy, but I'd have to shoot you.
Okay,
you'd be doing us a favour.
No, don't say things like that.
I'll tell you. Is anybody listening?
Everyone's listening, mate.
Okay. Yeah, we're just basically going to try and stretch it as far as we can. We can't match people on pace, as you saw in qualifying, especially my poor effort. So we've got to employ other tactics, and that's really what we're going to try and do, is keep it nice and safe. You've heard me say that a few times, yourself, Jimmy, and that's what we're going to do. If we can run longer, be careful on those tyres, we're going to have to make time up in the pits, and I think that's our best way as a team, rather than on the track.
Yep, definitely.
That's what endurance racing is all about. It's not necessarily all about speed, though. It helps to be fast. It's also about what's upstairs in your brain and how you're going to work the race out. 24 hours is a long way to go. You work your stint lengths out, you work your stint times out, and you drive to a plan. And if you can stick to that plan, the last 30 minutes can mean anything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tortoise in the hare scenario for us. So yeah, we'll keep it going, keep it strong, keep it clean, and we'll see where we end up. But we're going to enjoy it. We've made a place so far. It's still early days. Let's see if we can climb a little bit more.
Most definitely. Thanks very much, Joe, and enjoy the rest of the race. And hopefully we'll get you up a couple of more times during the race and see how you feel and how everything's going. But I'm sure you've got the plan worked out and you're going to do okay.
I'll be more than happy to come back. It's a lot more comfortable than my seat.
There you go, sparkling endorsement there from Joe Ciampa on the seats we have up here on stage. Thank you, Joe, for joining us. Great sport. Anyone is welcome to come and have a word with us, provided you can actually involve in the team somewhat. We don't want to see the randomness coming up here.
I was just about to call Enzo, but he's done a runner.
I think he knew what was coming, Enzo. You got out of there before it could be had. Enzo Fauci there down there, one of the Hyder drivers, but I think he saw Nick's eye and wisely made a run of it. So we've had all of our P1 drivers and all of our P2 drivers in as well. Bit of a mix up in the order though, Chris. It's all shaken up, it seems. Some people maybe taking tyres?
Well, no, one thing I was going to say is, yeah, there's certainly something going on in the P1 class. Undercover, their lead has gone up to 43.5 seconds. So pretty much doubled by the time that they'd done the stops there. And I'll let you probably get into that a little bit more. Satellite Racing, second place after the stops, 5 seconds ahead of Endurance Racing. Team RRC, fourth place, and then fifth place Satellite Racing. As you're just noting down there, tyres, some teams are going to probably double stint the tyres, some people will not, will just do the one. Now Hyder Esports, of course, they've actually just done a personal best last time around, or done one of their quickest laps. Simtech are second, 21.8 seconds back. Then it's IRDK, Pro Sim, Rare Endurance Racing, ID Sim Sport, and Lithium. Let's go down to the GT classes. It's still Real Esports 1 and 2 at the moment. Still probably working together, I think. What we were talking about Hyder Esport getting closer, that has now kind of stopped. It's they're 4.5 seconds back. Make that 5 seconds back from Burst Esport in third. Then it's Team Bernie Racing, Undercover Sim Racing, Gap SRT, ID Sim Sports, Simtech Pink. Rounding out the top 21, we'll go through the rest of the GTE teams. It's DGTL Racing, Rare Endurance, Simtech International, Team RRC, ID Sim Sport. We also have Burst Esport as well. Now, some of the, I don't know if we have any new drivers in. Oh, Jimmy, in fact, you're just picking up a battle.
Battle in the GTE class, 6th and 7th place, ID Sim Sport and Gap SRT. As the ID Sim Sport tries to go around the outside the first part of the Porsche curve, that usually ends up in contact, but I think thinking better of it and just spelling out that one for now. But very close here between these two BMW M8s. In the background, of course, Simtech Pink wants a piece of this as well. So three-way scrap here for 6th in the GTE field, all in equal machinery, but of course different setups and different strategies. Now, something to take into account is that some teams will be double stinting tyres when coming into the pit stops, and some teams will not be. That might account for some of the gaps we're seeing here. Nick, again, we'll come to you as our resident expert. The pros and cons of double stinting tyres, of course. You save a bit of time in the stop, but is it worth it?
Depend on the setup. If you're running softs, obviously you can only do one stint. If the setup can give you the time, but you may lose anything that you gain after about 7, 8, 9 laps. Double stinting, obviously the tyres can go longer, but you do sacrifice a little bit of time. Here, I think real single, and I would say the chasing cars are maybe going to be double, but this could change as the race goes on. It could be a case of trying to make a gap, trying to keep that gap, and as we get 4th or 5th stint, 6th stint maybe, changing tactics. And it could be the same with the chasing cars at the minute. They might see that they're not gaining anything, so they may change. And obviously that's up to the race engineers along with the driver, how the car's feeling. So as the race develops, we're going to see a lot more. As we see ID Sim Sport take that place back going into the Mulsanne chicane. Here we go.
Oh wow! Cutting it across the nose there, nearly took him off. Took the front bumper off there. That slowed them both down, because now look, Nick, in the background we have the Simtech Pink car right up behind. So we have a freeway scrap now for 6th position in your GTE class. ID Sim Sport pulls to the outside line there to try and come past the Gap car. And now side by side, nearly door handle to door handle, coming down to the second Mulsanne chicane. Who's going to blink first on the brakes? Let's see. Side by side, it looks like the ID Sim SimSport car is going to go clean around the outside of the gap car there on the way in. Just about keeps that position for now. A bit wide on exit, but those two squabbling, as I said before, has brought that SimTech car right back into the fray. Look at these cars. 1, 2, 3, all on your screen, and there they go, down to the Mulsanne corner.
And the SimTech car has done nothing. And SimTech's going to get involved in this. But as I was saying before, that because these two cars are scrapping it out and not giving an inch, the SimTech car's been able to close up by just driving its own race. Obviously, these guys are holding each other up. And the SimTech car now is right on the tail and is ready to take the position.
So ID SimSport, this battle for 7th in class then at the moment, and ID SimSport leading the way of this. Then we have the Gap SRT car and SimTech Pink as well, and side by side there it is. ID SimSport have actually dropped that place now, so Michael Rasmussen dropping to 20th place. There go the SimTech Pink car, so a good lap this for them now. They've moved up to 7th in class in this, have they? No, in fact that's the Gap SRT car, sorry, this is SimTech Pink that we're on board with going into Arnage, so the slowest corner on the track, of course, and a bad exit there, it looked like, for the SimSport car, and I think SimTech Pink might just do this down the straight before we hit the Porsche curve. So SimTech Pink now 8th in class, but we can have this battle continue all the way to the end of this lap. All of this will play into the hands of SimTech Pink. Of course, name matches car colour as we go through the curves now. So SimTech Pink looking to break away. We have had one of the teams in this class in the pits already, which was the Burst Esports team. But other than that, no pit stops, and this battle could be a little bit more interesting as we've got one of the is that a P1 or a P2 car just closing in as they approach now the Porsche game
in the background. There you go. So
there
you've got P1s and P2s coming on this battle. This is part of what it is to be a GT driver. You've got one eye in front, one eye in the mirror as well. Got a feel for the ID SimSport guys. They've lost 2 places in that one lap there. But the SimTech Pink car really showing its hand now as it tries to pull up to the back of the Gap car. Here comes the P2, one of the satellite cars in the background as well. Unmistakable, fighting with... oh, a bit of contact there. No, not quite. I thought there was going to be there. The 88 car, the endurance racing car, was very late on the brakes. It's actually a battle for 2nd position in P1 now. They're going side by side down the hill. We'll try and get up to them as quick as we can. There we go. There is the endurance racing 88 car, satellite racing car just in front. And our squabble for P2 overall is well underway right now. And the satellite car number 11 being held up slightly there by the P2 coming up to Touch Rouge. And now it's going to be a slipstream battle all the way down to the first Mulsanne chicane.
Yep, down towards the Mulsanne chicane we go. As you said, this for 2nd in class. So we got Satellite Racing just ahead there to the right of picture, but about to go into 2nd. Looks like it could be Endurance Racing. They tuck back into the cove. Will they have a go on the brakes into the Mulsanne chicane? They don't, so they stay behind for the time being. Just to remind you, this for 2nd place overall. We've got another one of the GT class just ahead, but won't play a part as they just move out of the way and allow both Satellite Racing and Endurance Racing to go by. Now Team RRC are about 11 seconds behind this as we are 360 kilometers an hour almost as we go into the 2nd chicane. Satellite Racing, no need to defend for them. And now down to Mulsanne we will go. Endurance Racing, can they get the run? It looked like a pretty equal exit from the chicane there, and Endurance Racing will tuck back into the slipstream. There you can see Satellite Racing, one of 2 cars in this class, the other in 5th place at the moment as we head in towards Mulsanne, and that was almost Endurance Racing having a little look up the inside. I think more than anything, Jimmy, just wanting to make themselves big in the mirrors of Satellite Racing.
To me, it looked like a little bit of a mistake, actually. Got a little bit too late on the brakes, realised that he was going in too hot and had to lock one of the tyres on the way in. Of course, you could say, yeah, I meant to do that. That's what I would do if I were driving, Chris. But not quite the case here. Now, both coming past one of the BMW M8 GTE cars. The cornering speed of these P1s always absolutely astounds me. You see him just come flying past. Yeah, again, that number 88 car's being quite rough there with its front tyres at the moment. And some of the drivers here would tell you that won't last too many more laps doing that, especially in RF2, Nick, with its flat spot tyre model.
the fact that they're locking their tyres up and putting a lot of heavy pressure, will not do them any good whatsoever. It looks like every time they pull on the slipstream and they come side by side, they seem to lose the momentum and not able to carry the move through and having to drop back in behind the satellite. It looks like the satellite have got them for outright pace. And every time we've looked at it, obviously in Mulsanne 1 and 2, they've had to fall back and drop in behind them. So it looks like they may be waiting for a mistake from satellite.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have to ask you a question here, Jimmy. If you're in the endurance car, really, is it worth them, locking up the tyres here, trying to have a look at the inside here and there? You've got undercover sim racing now 56 seconds down the road. Endurance racing, I almost don't see the point in them doing this. Big mistake as they just go off there going into just before Dunlop Bridge. Endurance racing, and again, just locking up, coming up behind Satellite Racing and having no choice but to take to the exit of the track there. And they lost a huge amount of time in all of that. Gap is now 2.2 seconds between Satellite Racing and Endurance Racing. And it looks like Satellite Racing, Eric in the car there, can just take a little bit of a breath now and a little bit of a break.
So we'll come back to that battle very shortly, but we're going to go for a quick commercial. Stay tuned.
So next level meal is a meal replacement. So if you've ever heard of Soylent or one of those other products, the idea is that instead of eating a meal, you drink it or you eat a bar. That's what next level meal is. The difference being that it actually tastes good. For me, I use next level meal when I'm traveling or when I want to replace the worst meal that I'm going to eat in a given day. And the reason that I'm excited about this particular food is because its basis is real food.
With so much of my life stored on my PC, I can't afford to take any chances. That's why I choose Kaspersky Antivirus to help keep me safe. It protects me from viruses and spyware without slowing me down. My PC keeps performing as it was designed to, and nothing gets in my way. Get award-winning protection for your PC. Kaspersky Antivirus.
We live in a world where we often forget the consequences of our overconsumption. At Refurb, we want to change that particular habit, which is why we purchase large amounts of used, quality computers from companies and subsequently restore and reuse them. When we receive the computers, we perform data deletion, renovate, and test them to make sure they are once again like new. Many have already realized that you can save a lot of money without compromising, simply by reusing. Get more for less and be the positive change by reusing.
How do you feel when someone is looking over your shoulder? Not all snoopers can be seen. Cyber criminals can steal your sensitive information. Hackers can intercept your data on public Wi-Fi. But not with the NordVPN app. It helps protect your privacy by encrypting your online data, and it's so easy to use. NordVPN, your shield from online snoopers. Download and enjoy trusted internet security and privacy.
Okay, and welcome back to, I guess this is part 3, I suppose, of the 24 Hours of Le Mans here, put on by the Endurance eRacing World Championship. We're currently looking at the satellite number 11 car, which was passed under brake by the Endurance Racing 88, which has gone up into second position now. But Nick, we are joined by a rather special guest. Take it away, Nick.
Yes, I'm joined by my boss, in fact. The main man, Mr. Matt Strand, sir. Welcome along. How are you feeling?
A little tired. It's been a long week already, but we're getting there. We're just trying to settle into a pace right now.
And how are you finding the weekend, and how's the family finding the weekend?
I mean, they're loving it. And my mom's sitting over here taking pictures, going crazy right now. Dad,
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. We normally have that on every car. I know you don't see them, but yeah, it's been an experience. I mean, from 5 years ago when we did this, it's so different. Like, it's grown so much, even from last year. Was it 13 more cars, I think?
Yeah, the thing was, when the stream was on, Jimmy was doing it, I know the chat in the satellite was, yeah, are we going to do this? So we can blame Jimmy that we've got everybody from America over. So thanks very much for that, Jimmy. And the fact that we've all been able to meet, it's been a real great weekend for me, certainly.
Yeah, because we've all been racing together against each other for better part of 10 years, but just distance between everyone, you never actually get to see people unless it's an event like this, that's what makes it so hugely popular and special. So yeah, watching last year, mainly with Mr. Jimmy over there broadcasting how much it's picked up since we've been here, it's like, okay, I got to do this again. And we booked our deposit ticket that day while the race was still going on.
Well, the race was going on, Jimmy. The satellite team were planning on coming to this event. That's how good it was. The main thing is, at the minute, the cars had a really good qualifying session. I know finished second and fourth. I'm sure the man is there. Antonio thinks he could have gotten pole, but it wasn't to be. How's Eric at the minute, and how's the 64 car coping?
Eric's doing pretty good. Having a little bit of a strategy thing going on with the endurance car right now, so we're kind of jumping back and forth. The 64 just had a small moment right before I came up here, but he's still going around, looks like at pace, so I'm assuming he's okay. Everything seems all right there. I do see a GT crawling around though.
Yeah, it's a GT3. Unfortunately, I think it's the Black Devil 130 Black Devil Racing. We've seen it had it off in the last break. It looks like it's just managed to get into pit lane, but during the break, it looked like it had a real serious off and was struggling. But fortunately, it hasn't caused much distress to the rest of the field going around. Luckily, now it's in the pits and hopefully gets fixed and get itself back out.
Yeah, we can hope for that, definitely. Sorry, Matt, a question from myself. Of course, you are one of the rare guys who have gone from both sim racing and real life racing. Of course, try to bring sim racers in to real life motorsport. What kind of use or what kind of value does sim racing have for that purpose of preparing someone for real life motorsport events?
Oh, it's huge. Even an unprofessional program like us, you know, we're not GT Academy or any of those types of guys. Even an unprofessional program like us, we took one guy, Sven de Vries, in 2015, plugged him into one of our Formula 600 cars, and he just went second place in the national championship at Indianapolis last year behind his teammate at Satellite. So that was a great day for us. But yeah, the sim racing thing, it's huge because he jumped in the car and he was instantly within 1 second of the times that myself and Clint McMahon could do in those cars, and those are, you know, track record type pace. And his first time ever in a real car, he couldn't even drive stick. We had to push him off the grid to get him moving. And then luckily it's a bike motor. He can just bang the gears and didn't need a clutch or anything. So once he got moving, he was fine, but we counted 39 stalls in 3 days getting off the grid because he doesn't race with a clutch and he does now, but he never used a clutch in sim before. So it took him some getting used to.
I think that we have something very unique in sim racing esports where we actually you practice the movements as you would in a real car. For example, we have, I don't know, like a FIFA style esports. You're just playing with a controller most of the time. In sim racing, you've got a wheel, got the pedals, of course. Some sims being rather unforgiving with things like stalling, for example. And yeah, I mean, Chris was saying that some people are now seeing it as a viable alternative to karting, to get you into motorsport.
It's to get started, yes, because you can learn. You don't really get that seat of your pants feel like you will from karting, but you learn the racecraft. You learn, like you're saying, the movements. You can learn heel toe, and if you can heel toe, you can drive anything, pretty much. You can run vintage cars, you can run new cars, anything in the world. So learning that is invaluable. Like, you cannot. Personally, I'm super biased, but personally, I think you can't beat it.
Well, I mean, that's the first thing I ever learned to do in racing was to heel and toe in an old 8.6 mod in R-Factor around Tsukuba because I'm a best motoring fan, of course. But anyway, Matt, great to have you on stage. Before we let you go, any shout-outs or sponsors you want to give a quick mention to?
Yeah, I got to thank Simcraft. They helped us out a lot with hardware. They've helped us out for many, many years now. We got JBD Customs over there running engineering for us because none of us really know what we're doing. So we need the intelligent people to do it for us. Deuces Motorsport Club, Mr. Newcombe. We brought that name back from nothingness really for a few years. So we've got Nick here, we've got Eric and Adam from Deuces from back in the day. So it's been great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on stage. That was Matt Strand, team boss of Satellite. We wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
So we'll pop back now to our race. It's been all quiet on the Western Front there. Chris, have you noticed anything whilst we've been chatting to Mr. Strand?
Well, of course, big changes that happened during the break and then the interview. We had the change for second gap. I feel after we spoke to Matt there that it's probably partly down to strategy. The gap between Satellite and Endurance now 7.7 seconds. Getting yellow flash around Undercover Sim Racing, not too sure what that is about, but GTE pit stops have happened. Undercover Sim Racing have come into the pits, it seems.
Undercover Sim Racing are not running. Endurance 88 goes into lead, so big problems there for our overall leader. Not quite sure what happened there. I think there might have been an incident or some sort of disconnect, but they're showing at the moment on our screen as being a yellow flag, and they are stopped in the pit lane. That's big big drama there as the 88 Endurance is promoted to first place. We'll try and get some sort of info on that once we know what's going on, but our overall leader has changed. 88 Endurance now leading here at Le Mans.
So the other things to happen, GTE pit stops, Bar ID, SimSport and SimTech International. Damage for Black Devil Racing, and they are now 33rd and last place. And then we had Via Duketon in the GT3 class, who we haven't spoke to about much. They're extending their lead over new second place, B32 Racing. All GT3s have made their stops.
So we've got the undercover guys now actually at race control. Okay, both Carson Dyngard and Nick Hillebrand, they're having a chat with our race control guys. We'll see if we can find out what's going on. I think we've got Nick, our roving reporter, has gone to have a chat, see what's going on. But of course, that promotes Satellite up to P2 as well. Now a double podium for the Satellite Racing guys, and undercover Sim Racing looks like they are back out of the pit lane.
Well, they're still dropping 5th place now. They've dropped to.
They're 5th place, but they are rolling again. So not out of this race so far, but not entirely sure what's going on here. We'll have to come back to that once we know for sure. But more importantly, they are not out, Chris. They are not out.
The official gap is now 4 minutes and 14 seconds to the leaders. So a huge, huge problem. Nick's still finding out at the moment. And as he makes his way over to the chair, let's get the full story. Whilst this is happening, by the way, Endurance Racing and the 11-car Satellite Racing both in the pits for their second stops. Nick, can you give us the update of what happened to our former race leaders undercover?
Well, been talking to one of the guys, Carsten Dyngard, and it seems they've just gone. The game just went on them. They'd already sustained damage earlier on, so the pace that they were doing was a really good pace, sustained pace, seeing as they had slight damage to the car, but they had a lead of 50 plus seconds, obviously on the rear car and the satellite car, but that was it. It's gone, and they're trying to fix it and get back, but unfortunately, from 50 seconds in the lead, to nowhere.
Of course, we have mechanical failures in real life. This is our sim equivalent. Sometimes the game, it does not feel charitable, and unfortunately the undercover sim racing guys have lost a lap. However, we've seen the pace these guys can put down. I'm more than confident that within 24 hours we'll see them challenging in the top lot once again.
I was going to ask you, Jimmy, what do you do now? How do you change strategy-wise? You had a plan. This has now happened. Because Endurance and Satellite have made their second stop, the gap has come down to 2 minutes and 54. But what do you do strategy-wise?
You just go hell for leather now. Nick and I were discussing before the broadcast. Alan McNish, 2008, I think it was.
2008 on the run down before the race had even started, had a problem with his brakes and his tyres and went up into the wall. So the Audi pit crew did a great job, but he started 2 laps down.
And they came back to win that race.
Came back to win.
Of course, a couple of fortunate things going his way, but most of all just out and out pace. And if any of the teams out there have the pace to come back and put that car back in the top spot on the order, it is the undercover sim racing guys. Right now down in P6 overall, actually behind our P2 leader, which is Hyder Esport at the moment. But we'll keep an eye on them as they hopefully come back through the field.
The Hyder Esport team in the GTE class have just set a new fastest lap of the race, and there they are. They are third at the moment, but they are bringing the gap down to the real Esport cars. It is now just 2.5 seconds, and there they are going through Indianapolis now and heading up to Arnage. Hyder Esport, they were doing this in the first stint, weren't they, before the stops, and then the progress that they were making kind of stopped a little bit, or it was at least paused, but it is now back on again. 2.2 seconds is now the gap. Real Esport, who you can say have perhaps been working together, may have to start just upping the pace here, because Hyder Esport are closing in very quickly.
This will be tyre length from the stint. Obviously you get a certain length of time and they're using the tyres to the best advantage before they start going off, and this is where you'll find the time will probably drop off again, so they're getting the maximum that they can out of these tyres before they start giving out. And then they'll settle into a standard rhythm until they come in for the next set of tyres, and we'll probably see this pattern until invariably they'll probably take the pass.
They're saying that I almost thought he was going to come into the pit lane there. Wow, a big chunk of curb there from the Hyder BMW M8, and again through there. I said maybe the stewards might want to have a quick look at that. That's a little
I've been
bit,
watching their lines all weekend, and that's the line that they are taking. The P2 team is similar as well, but I think the GT, because it's heavier, is a bit more extreme.
Yeah, you have to really throw it over the curbs to get the performance out. But again, the Hyder car just reeling in the real esport cars in front. That lap around, another fastest lap from them, fastest lap of the entire class from them, a 3:54.0, which is about a second quicker than the leading real esport car, and about a second and a half quicker than the one in second place. And that gap coming down all the time, and that's your battle for first, second and third in GTE. We're currently just watching the Hyder esport car from the TV camera. Nick has something for us.
I'm just spotting the same as Lithium Motorsports had the same in Orica. They've just passed the undercover sim race, and we're still struggling. Hopefully we'll find out a little bit more information from the 88 and see what's happening with that team. But at present, they're just falling down the standings at the minute.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. See that Team Bernie Racing as well, having a little bit of a scrap with one of the Porsches behind. We'll see if we can get that on our screen. At the moment, here it is. It's a Rare Endurance versus Team Bernie. Good old Bernie. Big old diffuser on the back of that BMW M8. We'll go on board with Team Bernie, give you just an idea of how close these guys are running right now. Coming down to the Porsche curves, very tricky part of the course in a GTE car. Of course, in the P2 and P1, a bit more straightforward. You've got a bit of downforce to assist you through the corner. Speaking of the devil, there goes a P2 trying to work its way through. Not quite finding a way past the team with the rare car in front. Sorry, it's a rare car. I had to check that it was the rare car then. But the P2 car, you see, this is what happens when you get stuck between GTEs through here. You are completely held up. If you're the P2 driver, you'd be so impatient, because now here comes the undercover 888 car, of course, the car that lost out a lap just now due to an issue in the game, making absolutely no time to get past all these cars. That guy is in a hurry right now. So here we are, coming through the chicane, getting ever closer to the Porsche in front. Of course, the Porsche known for its wailing, naturally aspirated engine. Let's see if we can get an onboard or some sound with that, shall we?
I've just seen the Satellite 64. It's coming out of Indianapolis, maybe come in contact with another car, and come spinning around. It's done a 360. So we've got 64 with damage.
We missed that there, so it looks like some sort of instant there for the Satellite number 64 car. Looking like it's struggling to maintain. Looks like it's struggling to find out. We can see if we get the replay. Nick, let's just tell us what's going on right now.
Well, in fact, just before we go back to Nick, I just want a quick update before we go to Nick. GT3 class continuing to get closer. B32 Racing really starting to close in on the leaders. And looks like Jimmy has now found the replay.
Yes, I have done. Here we are then, coming around Touch Roofs. We come in through here, and the Satellite car just nowhere to go, clips the wall and one of the GTE cars. Big hit in the wall there from front and rear. And then unfortunately was kind of just stuck here for quite a while as all the field went through. So the 64 car that was in third position, watch to your left. In a minute you're going to see the Team RRC car come by, and they will go up into third place in LMP1. There it is. So big drama there for the Satellite Racing guys, and I'm sure that Mr. Strand will be having strict words over the radio right now.
Yeah, we've got Daniel Smichthaler in the race, in the car at this present time, so I would imagine he'll be coming around to the pits, doing a driver swap and having a full debrief. But it looked like the door just completely shut on him on the exit with the GT car straight in front. There was absolutely no way for him to go, and obviously he hit the brakes, but at that closing speed and hit the brakes with that kind of pressure, it's certainly the car just gave in and says no thank you.
It just looked to me like as if the line really was not there and just miscalculated there by the satellite boys. But definitely not over and done with. Of course, early on in the race, so you don't really want to have an incident at all during the race, but early on in the race is the best time to have one because you have maximum time to come back through the field. Meanwhile, we'll come down to our P2 field. Here is the Lithium Motorsports car, the number 215, currently in 7th position in class. We haven't seen much out of them today. We always like to say that a best race is an anonymous race where you just get on with it and don't have anyone look at you, because that means you've either had a crash or had some sort of very scary overtaking going on. We're now actually behind in front. We haven't got our timing up right now, but chasing down the car in front. And again, coming through the Porsche curves in a prototype, Nick, nothing quite like it, is there?
Oh, there's certainly not, because here we are on the first entrance, and that sets you up for the rest of the Porsche curves. And it's all about balance and speed and keeping that, not going over the edge, ready for the exit, a little bit of feathering through on the exit, ready for the run down into the Ford chicane. And it's exhilarating, but it's also, if you get it wrong, the worst place ever to get it wrong on a track is the Porsche curves.
And saying that, in comes the Lithium Motorsport car, determined not to give us a battle to watch on track. Thank you very much, Lithium Motorsports, as they come in. And we'll go back to ID Sim Sport, the car that was just in front. Putting in that lap a 138 for that last sector, I should say. Sorry, 138 round here will be very impressive. A couple of corner cuts there, I'd wager. A little bit further in front of them, off the position, is the Undercover Racing car. Now, they're actually coming around now to unlap themselves. This is our LMP1, previous LMP1 leader, coming around to unlap themselves from the 64 car, which is the current 4th place LMP1. 64 car opting to stay out. So whatever damage they had there, seems to be all okay. But anyway, guys, we're going to leave you for 2 seconds, go to commercials, and we will be right back.
With so much of my life stored on my PC, I can't afford to take any chances. That's why I choose Kaspersky Antivirus to help keep me safe. It protects me from viruses and spyware without slowing me down. My PC keeps performing as it was designed to, and nothing gets in my way. Get award-winning protection for your PC. Kaspersky Antivirus.
Connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
How do you feel when someone is looking over your shoulder? Not all snoopers can be seen. Cyber criminals can steal your sensitive information. Hackers can intercept your data on public Wi-Fi. but not with the NordVPN app. It helps protect your privacy by encrypting your online data, and it's so easy to use. NordVPN, your shield from online snoopers. Download and enjoy trusted internet security and privacy.
We live in a world where we often forget the consequences of our overconsumption. At Refurb, we want to change that particular habit, which is why we purchase large amounts of used, quality computers from companies and subsequently restore and reuse them. When we receive the computers, we perform data deletion, renovate, and test them to make sure they are once again like new. Many have already realized that you can save a lot of money without compromising, simply by reusing. Get more for less and be the positive change by reusing.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Whilst we're in our ad break, we had a change for our GTE lead. Hyder Esport catching and passing both the real esport teams, but the battle is continuing. We'll go up now to live. As you can see, side by side coming into the second Mulsanne chicane. And hang on a minute, one of the cars I think just maybe clipped the barrier in the background, and both burst esport cars having a little bit of contact between each other as the Hyder esport car catches and passes our GTE leader. In the foreground, I think there's a P2 car there without a rear wing, so it's all gone off what's been on our ad breaks. I think what we should probably do is threaten to go to an ad break until the action happens, and then we'll come back at that from there. But as you can see, our GTE leaders have changed. So Hyder now showing the pace they had from quali. Well, they were somewhat stopped in quali from the computer issues, but now coming back through the field. Now to the left of us, Nick is joined by one of the satellite drivers, Eric Schmieder. Nick, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, as you said, we've got Eric, who's just completed the first stint of the number 11 satellite racing course, currently sitting in second place, P2. Adam Baldwin has taken over the reins and have Eric here. How you doing? How was that first stint for you? Did you get the
Busy.
nerves over?
Busy, right? It's a long race, but it was busy, and so we just kind of wanted to take a step back, get through the first stint, get each of the drivers through the cycle and get comfortable, and then we'll start going.
Yeah, you mentioned before, we saw it here in the replay that the GT3 do a little bit of a spin. You're saying that the GT3 actually turned into you?
I felt it. I mean, I saw him in my mirror, but it seemed like on exit, I was outside of him, and my side panel got hit by either his nose or his side. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, but it didn't cause any damage. You're able to carry on?
No, no damage.
How's the track? Is it rubbering in as you expected? Is the tyres holding up?
Yeah, it is. It is. A long way to go, I think, to a fully rubber track, but we'll see if the rain comes before it gets fully rubbered.
So Matt has been kind enough to go last in the team driving stints, has he?
He chose it, so he's gonna have to deal with the rain potentially, right?
he's the boss. He can pick anything, can't he?
He can.
Yeah, Matt was saying, obviously, with the satellite racing team and Juices coming together, it's been a great weekend for everybody. Obviously, meeting up and getting you in. It's good to see 2 satellite cars in, and as we were watching last year's event, obviously Matt, before the race had even finished, had booked our spot. And I didn't even realise Adam was coming over until this month, and I was really pleased to see that.
Yeah, so we were watching it last year live, and I mentioned to Matt, hey, we may want to try this. Next month, Adam gets in, and before you know it, we got 2 cars here, right? So it's an awesome event. So thank you to the organizers. I got to say that soon, right? Or get that out of the way, I should say. Yeah, no problem. Now be kind to us
Jimmy
at Stewart's too, please. Yeah. But no, it's an awesome event. So thank you guys for putting this together.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys, and especially for me, obviously. Being part of the Juices satellite teamwork, and to meet you guys after all these years it's been tremendous. Yeah, just want to thank you for coming up, and hopefully send Adam this way once he's finished, and we'll try and get some other teams and drivers when they complete their stints.
Cool.
Thanks very much, Eric.
Cheers. Thanks.
So that was Eric Schmieder there. We're just going back to a replay on stage of the lithium racing car already damaged. Unfortunately, adding to that damage at the exit of the Porsche curves and just running into the wall suspension and the body damage to that P2 car. It's going to take the guys in the lithium garage a little bit of time to get that sorted out. You see, just taking to the grass to try and avoid things around there. But Chris, as seems to be the way, as soon as we go for any sort of ad or interview, everything seems to kick off. Take us through what we've missed.
Well, of course, undercover on their charge back through the field has set a new fastest lap there. Now 6th place, setting some really fast lap times. So they are starting to get back to the top 5 positions, of course, 5 P1 cars, and they are now 6th overall. So just Hyder Esport to pass, and then they'll be back to where they should be. Hyder did a new fastest lap in the GTE class on their way to taking the lead. They were 3rd when we went to the ad break, and they pretty much took the lead within about 3 corners. You saw a replay of the one they had for the lead, which was the better overtake, so don't worry about that. We had the off there for lithium as well during the interview. Now they are still in the pits at the moment. I can tell you they are dropping down to the back of the P2 order, so 7 in that class. They're now 7th at the moment, so really dropping down the field. Looks like they're still in the pits at the moment, but the gap to ID SimSport ahead when they do return is going to be quite substantial. The other thing to note is down in the GT3 class, Via Duketon are really extending their lead. They are now almost 40 seconds clear from the rest of the field. And we have Team RRC. Hodge has come into the pit lane in 3rd place.
There you go. That's Team RSC in, going again, as they've been saying, 1 lap longer than the rest of the competition, stretching that as long as possible. We're currently watching on screen right now, we're about to be watching on screen, there it is, that's a nice smooth transition. The Team Hyder Esport car in the GTE class, still currently leading the class from now. The two race car guys behind at the moment, not quite close enough to, the two real Esport guys, behind at the moment. Lots of R's in this competition today. Not quite close enough to be in the slipstream of the car in front. A 3:54.9 there, set by the Hyder guys. A decent time, not too far off actually their best time so far. Only about 9/10 of a second off their best lap so far. So right now the Hyder guys really putting in some hot times at the moment. Yeah,
the previous lap was actually a 3:54.0, and they put 7/10 on the real sports car. Since they've overtaken, the gap has been a steady 1 second.
Yeah, I'm noticing as well. It's actually Casper Stoltz in the car at the moment, and he was the guy who set the fastest lap last year in the Grippo Racing Corvette. Didn't come away with spoils due to an earlier issue, but I think his fastest lap was something like 3 seconds faster than anybody else in the GT field the last time around, and showing again his pace this year. But that gap still opening up right now, so the Hyder car trying to make as big a gap as possible as the fellas in the background try and navigate some of the slower GT3 traffic, one of the Callaway Corvettes there in the background.
Yeah, it's a 3:54.9 and 3:54.997 and 3:54.4. So they're trading times, and obviously they're going to try and keep it close. It's down to under a second, just under a second at the minute. But as you were saying, Casper Stoltz is in the car. Obviously, they had problems with qualifying yesterday, but we're seeing the true pace of the team now, coming back from a not optimum starting position within the GTE field, but now they're where I think they expected to be after qualifying if everything had gone smoothly. And now it's up to the rest of the field to do something about it.
It is, and of course, this is one of the things about endurance racing. It's definitely not where you start, no. And of course, you have a myriad of different drivers for each team and each track and each car. So everyone needs to really come together as a team and find the fastest way together as a team. Chris.
Yep, Lithium back out on track after that incident, but they are 19th place, of course, 7th in class. They are way behind now the rest of the P2 field, unfortunately, but they return 19th overall in the race, and they've got around 8 teams between themselves and ID SimSport. Battles going on in the GTE class. It looks as if we did have some, the intermittent gaps have fallen away from me all of a sudden, which is just as well. But I was looking at Team Bernie Racing and Rare Endurance. They're still battling away. We were picking up that one a little bit earlier. Simtech International having a good little battle with Undercover Sim Racing. That's for 7th and 8th in that class. But this on board now, Team Bernie Racing. It maybe for lower down the field in the GTE class, but it still is a race, and I feel this one could be going on for quite some time. So this Team Bernie Racing trying to close in on Rare Endurance.
These guys seem to be fairly locked together at the moment. We've seen them scrapping for the last half an hour or so, and it seems, as you say, Chris, to be no sight in end of it at the moment. And of course, every position is a position worth fighting for in these events, and although I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to notice the sky getting a little bit cloudy here at the circuit at the start. And of course, in RF2, we do have changeable weather conditions, which could mean we could be in for a little bit of rain, Mr. Nick Newcombe.
Yeah, definitely. The sky is getting a little bit overcast, and obviously the sun's dropping as well, so we're going to go into the early night time. So we've got a combination of low visibility coupled with a little bit of rain, which is always time for a little bit of fun.
You say fun. I'm not sure the drivers would agree with you down there, Nick, but it's definitely decent for us as commentators, so we get to see people really have to talk the talk, so to speak. Driving in wet conditions takes a lot of concentration, a lot of skill, and a lot of patience as well.
Undercover Sim Racing have now gone back into the top 5, quite literally just at this point. Times still very impressive. Last time round, they did a 3:15.058. Considering endurance racing last time round, they did a 3:19, as did Satellite Racing. Both teams, Team RRC, a 4:09. So very quick on track at the moment, Undercover Sim Racing, and there they are now into 5th place, chasing Team RRC.
What we're waiting on now is what tactical change they've made to their outlook on the whole race. Obviously, they're a lap down. At this stage of the race, as Jimmy said earlier, it's better to have this kind of problem early doors, as opposed to later on in the race when you can't do anything about it. Now they've got plenty of time to come back, make that lap up and get back around. We've seen it before many times, and it looks like we could be seeing it here today from the 888 Undercover Sim Racing. We've got Devin Prawn in the car at the minute that did actually make that driver change as I thought they wouldn't do after the damage. It's definitely something to watch. They've obviously got the fastest time set by anybody, a 3:14.396. The last lap was indeed a 3:15.058. So they're definitely the team to watch. Is it shown on the timing screens?
Well, let's stay with Undercover Sim Racing for a lap, shall we? Because they are by far the quickest out on track at the moment. A 3:18.132 last time, just as we go on board with them then. So on board we are with Undercover Sim Racing, and doing a very good job at the moment. Of course, they had that huge problem which saw them drop all the way down the order. They were in a 50-second lead, to remind you, if you haven't been with us, when that problem happened, which saw them kind of aborted to the pit lane. But they have now rejoined. They are making their charge back through the order. They're back into the top 5, which is where they belong as a P1 team. Now, Team RRC ahead of them have come in to the pits, which is quite interesting, as it wasn't long ago they were in the pits. I'm sure they've done 3 stops, and it says on my timing screen that they're back in, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. But on board with Undercover Sim Racing we are. Wonder what's going on with Team RRC, whether that's tactical. Hopefully they haven't got any problems there. Of course, Endurance Racing leading the way from the 2 satellite teams. This is 5th place Undercover Sim Racing now coming through the chicane. This is the part of the circuit where the drivers can really take a bit of a break, bit of a deep breath before we get busy in the second half of the lap. Now, the fastest lap is currently held with Undercover Sim Racing, 3:14.396. Into Mulsanne we go through the right-hander and use as much track as you can on the exit. They are approaching a little bit of traffic, it seems, just ahead as we approach Indianapolis. Nick?
I've just been informed by one of the drivers, members, Joe Ciampa, that a stop and go was the problem of Team RRC.
Thank you very much. So stop and go penalty. Adam Hodgkinson in the car for them at the moment, but there is Team RRC. Now, what has that done for them? It's dropped them 1 minute and 37 seconds back from Satellite Racing, unfortunately, and it was for track limits. So track limits for Team RRC, unfortunately, giving them a huge penalty. Where do you think that could have been, Jimmy? Where's it most likely to happen around here?
Probably on the exit at Tête Rouge. Very easy to go wide there, especially when you're trying to carry as much speed as possible coming down onto the Mulsanne Straight. Guys, we do have some access to the stream chat here. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to ask us any questions you may have. We'll do our best to try and answer, or just say hello. Let us know you're there and what you're enjoying so far. Nick, I saw your hand raised. Do you have something to say, my friend?
Yeah, Joe intimated that they'd come up upon a slower class car, and Hodge tried to make the pass as clean as he could, but in doing so, ran over the track limits, and that's where the stop and go came from.
Very easy to do that, of course. Around here, we're being asked, what's my favourite kind of pizza? Pineapple pizza. There you go. Have fun with that.
Tex-Mex.
Yeah, Tex-Mex if you're around here. No. Oh wow! I'm just watching RRC on RRC there, as the aforementioned P1 had a very tight pass on its sister Porsche car there, coming up to Indianapolis. We also have the Undercover Sim Racing car back into the pit lane. That is a scheduled stop this time, thankfully. But of course, every time I see it now, I feel a little bit for those guys, because they are still trying to work their way back up the order after the earlier incident where they were essentially reset to the pit lane. All quiet on track right now. A lot of the battles are now fairly spread out, and we'll take this opportunity to check in with the Black Devil Racing team. Now, these guys had a bit of a mare of things, I think it's fair to say. They're down in 33rd and last on track running position. They actually had an issue earlier in the race where quite big suspension damage. They are back out on circuit now, but we've not really given much attention to our GT3 class so far. It seems to be fairly quiet down there at the moment, Chris. Not really much going on at the moment.
Well, Viaducton have really controlled that class. They've had pressure at times from the likes of B32 Racing and Azatec Academy Esport. Well, just hearing there that Viaducton is a apprentice team of Jan Magnussen, which is a pretty interesting project to hear about. But Azatec Academy now back into second place. Kian Donaldson in the car for them at the moment, 43.5 seconds back from Viaducton, who have just controlled that at the moment. They've just made the one pit stop at the moment. ID SimSport being shown. There's no pit stops for them yet, nor SimTech International. They are the only two teams on track that have not come into the pits just yet. And that said, our race leaders are in, Jimmy.
So that's Endurance 88 into the pit lane, and scheduled stop for those guys right now. The jets go up. That indicates a tyre change to me. In the foreground, I just saw, I think there was a P2 car actually working its way out of the pit lane at the moment. So scheduled stop for them so far. We do have the amount of stops on screen at the moment. We are currently 106 minutes into this race, just over an hour and a half, I guess, if you factor in the safety car outlap as well. Here comes Satellite Racing in as well, our P2 team. They're coming in. And the 64 Satellite car, of course, has been promoted back up to third place now after Team RRC's transgression a bit earlier on in the pits. We have Bullwind GP in the chat saying, how do I improve as a GTE driver? I'd say just try and focus on being predictable. Don't weave around when you see a fast car approaching, and make sure to hold your line and be confident in your own movements. So you go, that's Jimmy's tips for the day. This is why I don't drive the GTE car.
Yeah. Just as well he didn't ask you for tips in the P1 Fat Boy, though, is it?
You want to watch out what you're saying there, Nick, don't you? You want to be quiet. In comes Satellite Racing number 64, so following its sister car in, as we expected it would. We've got to talk about Hyder Racing, though. That P2 car, currently, they're just pulling away from the rest of the field. The gap from them down to the guys behind, well over 20 seconds now, I think, to the nearest P2.
Yeah, it's between Hyder and SimTech. It's over 60 seconds, so they really are pulling away. They have undercover sim racing between themselves and second place SimTech. It's actually getting pretty close for second in this class. SimTech Motorsport, if we go back to them, are being caught just a little bit here from the Rare Endurance team. So Jimmy, that is an order. Can we see the next this? Back one more. There we are. SimTech, there is the Rare Endurance team being closed in. It's only an hour and a half in, and he's already ignoring me.
Been ignoring you the entire weekend, mate. All you've been trying to do is give me a Mountain Dew. I don't want any of that stuff. Oh, in the foreground there, sorry, you've got a GTE and a GT car almost coming together, but we'll come back to that after another set of commercials, so stay tuned.
We live in a world where we often forget the consequences of our overconsumption. At Refurb, we want to change that particular habit, which is why we purchase large amounts of used, quality computers from companies and subsequently restore and reuse them. When we receive the computers, we perform data deletion, renovate, and test them to make sure they are once again like new. Many have already realized that you can save a lot of money without compromising, simply by reusing. Get more for less and be the positive change by reusing.
connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
How do you feel when someone is looking over your shoulder? Not all snoopers can be seen. Cyber criminals can steal your sensitive information. Hackers can intercept your data on public Wi-Fi. But not with the NordVPN app. It helps protect your privacy by encrypting your online data, and it's so easy to use. NordVPN, your shield from online snoopers. Download and enjoy trusted internet security and privacy.
With so much of my life stored on my PC, I can't afford to take any chances. That's why I choose Kaspersky Antivirus to help keep me safe. It protects me from viruses and spyware without slowing me down. My PC keeps performing as it was designed to, and nothing gets in my way. Get award-winning protection for your PC. Kaspersky Antivirus.
So Next Level Meal is a meal replacement. So if you've ever heard of Soylent or one of those other products, the idea is that instead of eating a meal, you drink it or you eat a bar. That's what Next Level Meal is. The difference being that it actually tastes good. For me, I use Next Level Meal when I'm traveling or when I want to replace the worst meal that I'm going to eat in a given day. And the reason that I'm excited about this particular food is because its basis is real food.
So let's go back then. And Jimmy, this is what just happened at the end of the ad break. So this in the GTE class with ID Simsport. They're just going too late on the brakes at the chicane, and that is them dropping back to 23rd with Team RRC going up to 10th in that class. Also, during the break, we had the 64 satellite car come into the pits. That's in the P1 class. ID Simsport are now your new GT3 leaders. That was in the pit stops that they passed via Dukton. So clearly some different strategies going on there. Now Rare were closing in the P2 class. They closed in by around 2 seconds on the... let's just get up the order and have a look at that one. It was a battle we were following just before we went away. And Rare were closing in as... my computer's decided not to work on me for a little bit. There we go. How on Simtech, wasn't it? There we go. And during the pit stops, they've now dropped 15 seconds back. So there was definitely some strategies going on there. That's pretty much all you missed. You picked up the only real bit of drama that happened just at the end of the ad break. But let's go back to Jimmy to see what's going on track now.
I was watching the Simtech car take a very interesting line. Oh, wow, nearly lost it there, going around the outside of a McLaren, who was actually pitting in, pulled over to the right-hand side to pit in, and the Simtech car tried to go around the outside of that off track, came back on and found it was very slippy over there and nearly put it on the inside wall there. So that was, I think that's still Shane Burke driving that car, if I am not very much mistaken. It is still Shane Burke